So, as a guitarist, my earliest roots are in rock music, especially the Beatles, Zeppelin, Kiss, Aerosmith, and Black Sabbath. Now, in college, as an undergrad, I studied classical guitar. And in grad school, I worked mostly with jazz. So, of course, it makes absolute sense that I spend most of my time playing bluegrass, right? Well, on the surface, it might seem like a bit of an intellectual and artistic stretch to go from the blues-based hard rock influence of Jimmy Page, Ace Frehley, and Tony Iommi to playing what's essentially Celtic-influenced American mountain folk music. But if you look at episode 6, What Exactly is the Blues, I make the claim that bluegrass, along with rock, jazz, and all the different blues-derived styles, in other words, all American popular styles, I argue that they actually are the blues. Logically then, we should be able to take all the things we know about blues and rock soloing and repurpose them for use in more traditional folk styles like bluegrass, right? Stick around. So let's talk about bluegrass for a minute. Plenty of rock guitarists turn their noses up at bluegrass because it's played on, as Toki and Swissguard would say, Grandpa's guitars, never realizing that Tony Rice, Doc Watson, Ricky Skaggs, Billy Strings, Molly Tuttle, and others are flat out shredding, demonstrating their mastery of alternate picking, economy picking, cross picking, string skipping, spread double stops, open string chromaticism, and bends on acoustic guitars with heavy strings at Slayer tempos and sometimes beyond, and quite often unplugged. In other words, these are iron men and women playing wooden instruments. Let that sink in for a minute. Okay, but what the heck does this have to do with the blues? Well, quite simply, bluegrass is what happens when you take Irish and Scottish folk music, including hundreds of years of ballads, folk songs, and fiddle tunes that were brought to the United States by immigrants from the British Isles in the 18th through the early 20th centuries. And then you let it mingle with American blues, which was developing largely in the South post-Civil War. So maybe if we take a look at each distinct style, we can decode exactly how bluegrass is put together. So here's an old Irish fiddle tune, The Temperance Reel. Notice that it definitely sounds earthy and Grandpa's guitarsy, but it doesn't quite sound like bluegrass. Now, to contrast, here's the melody, essentially, to John the Revelator, an old sanctified blues tune as sung by blues musician Son House. Notice that it doesn't sound much like bluegrass at all. Also note that it doesn't sound much like Irish music either. So how the heck do I get from here to making the claim that bluegrass is the blues? Well, watch this. So if I solo over the chords of John the Revelator, well, chord actually, it's just an E dominant chord, I would probably default to the E minor pentatonic or the E minor blues scale. Okay, so these are the kind of lines we expect to hear over a gut bucket country blues tune. Open string pull-offs, sliding double stops, spread double stops, open string chromaticism, bends, etc. That list sound familiar? Now, Watch me play essentially these same lines over the chords to the temperance reel in the key of G. So why do these same ideas sound so different, considering I'm using the exact same scale and even some of the exact same licks in both examples? Well, it's just a change of mode. E minor pentatonic, or the blues, is the same scale as the G major pentatonic, or blues. Now, over an E7 chord, the scale sounds dark, swampy, and dirty thanks to the presence of the flat 5 interval. Now, in the key of G, those same types of licks sound slippery, sleek, and playful thanks to the flip of the minor third to the major third. Incidentally, for all the theory buffs watching, the flat 5 of E minor is the minor third of G major. But it's not just that, it's also the change of style. In other words, the quick 2-beat dance style of an Irish reel sets a different mood and playing environment from the sanctified rhythmic weight and introspection of a backcountry blues tune. Okay, so how do we decipher this bit of scale magic? Well, let's discuss the scale form itself. And here it is. It's the E minor or the G major pentatonic blues scale. Now, does it look slightly familiar? Well, it's the same scale we would use to play blues in the 5th position in the key of A. And this fingering is also known as box or position 1. The only real difference is that in the E minor or the G major version, the open strings take the place of our first finger at the 5th fret in the A minor pentatonic version. But let's look at it this way. If I capo at the 5th fret, the frets I would be playing with my first finger are technically now open strings. Now, here it is with the actual open strings. So you might be asking, does this mean I can play the same licks I would play in 5th position in the key of A? Yes. All the bends and the slides and the double stops available to you in a closed position are still available to you in the open position. So play those blues licks. So consider this. If we take the exact same scale and center around the note G instead of the E, we're now playing the G major pentatonic scale. Same notes, but different tonal center or mode. Now, if we play those E blues licks over a G, C, G, or D chord progression, we're now in the bluegrass ballpark. So if it doesn't sound quite like bluegrass yet, it's probably more a stylistic concern than anything else. And here are a few tips to help you with that. 1, learn the G run. Here it is. And here's a variation. Now, these runs are indispensable and they often fuel other more complex ideas. 2, stay in motion. Because of the sharp transients and lack of sustain on an acoustic guitar, we can't really hold long notes out like fiddlers or like we would when we're playing blues on an electric. Play fast and fancy lines and you'll be on your way. 3, use those major minor third pairs and blues notes. The 3rd fret B flat on the G string rubs beautifully against the open B string, and likewise the D sharp rubs beautifully against the open E string. And we've all heard these types of lines before. It's a signature of bluegrass playing and also of blues. And there are tons of different ways to execute open string grinds. 4, Although alternate picking may be the flat picker's default setting, be prepared to hammer, pull off, economy pick, string skip, and maybe even hybrid pick or cross pick here and there. 5. Open strings are your friend. They're part, but not all, of how flat pickers play so fast. They're also one of the keys to grabbing those crazy ear-twisting chromatic runs that make bluegrass and chicken-picked lines sound so cool. 6. Learn some fiddle tunes. David Brody's The Guitar Picker's Fake Book is an amazing resource which features hundreds of tunes from bluegrass, old time, Scottish, Irish, and other sources. Now, fiddle and flat picking tunes are great to learn simply because they show us that melody is king, using not only pentatonic but diatonic and modal flavors as well. Also, it can be quite a challenge to translate lines which fall easily on the fiddle to the guitar. They're also great for fine-tuning your alternate, economy, combination, and cross-picking patterns. Your technique will thank you. 7. Import your flat-picked lines back into country, rock, metal, blues, or even jazz tunes. They'll for sure make your bandmates' ears prick up. Believe it. If you'd like to see and hear some of these ideas in action, please check out the bonus episode, Improvisational Strategies, Building Pentatonic Lines, where I discuss and demonstrate these ideas with my fiddle-playing friend, Alicia Thomas. This would make a fantastic companion episode to that one. Also, be on the lookout for 2 play-along videos based on the blues and Irish examples used in this video. Remember, please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel's content. Hit the notification bell so you'll always know when a new episode drops, and feel free to leave comments or any suggestions for any topics you might like to see in some future videos. My name's Dave Holland, and thanks for watching String 'em Up. Have fun, stay safe, and get off my lawn. I just mowed it. See you next time.